Catch the rain before it falls. Keep on swimming if you're drowning. You can do anything at all. Don't try to go around it. Keep on marching till the end. And go on, reach that hand out, child. I think I found a friend.
You never stop, baby.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Third Hour of Power. This is Grady of This Mormon Life, and with me this week is James the Mormon. Hey, James, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate the invite.
You bet. So this week we are talking about Chapter 12 from the Howard W. Hunter Manual, which is Come Back and Feast at the Table of the Lord. Now, James, for those who are maybe haven't heard of you yet, I did have someone I was going through my analytics, and somebody found me from researching Chapter 11, Howard W. Hunter High Priests. So there's probably some people who are listening who haven't heard of you yet. Can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I grew up overseas in Russia, China, Taiwan, and Uzbekistan. I'm 29 years old. I'm a BYU graduate. I run 3 startups, and on the side, as a complete hobby, I rap and make music, and I'm 100% not a rapper.
Now, why is that you say that you're not a rapper? I know that your new album that you came out with. Why is that kind of the moniker you're going by, or not going by, I guess?
Well, I don't want anyone to get confused and think that I'm pursuing a music career.
Mm-hmm. And what's kind of the purpose for that music that you're making?
Well, I made I'm Not a Rapper, to be honest with you, I made I'm Not a Rapper with zero expectation, right? So I put it out. I thought maybe people would enjoy it. Though, I wanted people to see Mormons in a different light. I made a video for one of the breakout song, Motivation, and I wanted people to see that not all Mormons were what the world thinks of them, which is, to be honest with you, just a white person in a tie, in a white shirt. And I wanted them to see diversity. I wanted them to see, that they could relate with Motivation, and hopefully break down some walls that, as far as stereotypes, that might prevent someone from being open to the message of the restoration.
That's good. I like that you do that. The lesson this week is all about reaching out and being accessible to others, particularly those who are members of the church. It talks about in the opening section from the life of Howard W. Hunter, it says that to those who have transgressed or been offended, we say, come back. To those of you who are hurt and struggling and afraid, we say, let us stand with you and dry your tears. What kind of things have you seen as a response for this music you've been coming out with? Have you seen anyone who's been kind of maybe disenfranchised with the church start to kind of come back?
I've had at least 30 different emails of people saying that they've related to they felt a connection and decided to not necessarily show up. There's been many people who are like, I'm going to go back to church next Sunday, quite literally.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them are like, I'm seeing the church in a new light, and that's good for me. It's a first step forward. Right after the album hit #1, a kid came up to me in and out. He was about 18 years old. He's a Dominican kid from New York, and he said he was baptized when he was 8. But right after his family went inactive, and then about when he was 17, his senior year, missionaries started coming over, and they started reactivating, and he was trying to make some life decisions. And he said that just by searching Mormon, he came across me in a video a really old video, like 2 years ago, of just I call it a mixtape song, but we don't have to get into that. Anyway, some old song. And he said, this is dope. I like it. And he looks like me. And this is what I like. And that he said that was a direct result in him choosing to go to BYU. And also, now he's going to go on a mission. So I think there's a lot of people, I talk a lot to Deseret Book because they're trying to sign me to make music. And I talk to people about typical Mormon songs, right? Where Mormons are so, and it's a culture I don't really agree with, and I don't know how people are gonna feel about this, but they're so inclusive. They're so like, they shy away from any, they're drinking, they're, anything that doesn't fit in their bubble, they try to do it because they think they're gonna get tempted. But we have the Spirit. We can stay strong. How do you shine as a light in a room full of light? You know what I mean? You can only shine a light if you go into the places where there's no light. And What I'm saying is you can be an example and be loving to every human being regardless of what decisions they want to make. And with Mormons and like Mormon music, it's such this like complete, they shy away from rap music and all this stuff, but it really, we need to be more vulnerable. We need to relate more to more people so they can want to hear our message. Is the point.
Yeah, and you bring up an awesome point I liked, was the idea of going out. And we're very insular, I think, as a culture. And I something that I've recognized, and so me and my wife, we try to be outgoing. We try to reach out to people. One of the things that we do once a month, and this is something that we found from another family from another ward, is we go and we invite people to come into our home once a month for cookies and sweets, and we visit our neighbors and people who are new in the ward and people that we don't know yet. Old friends, and just say, hey, come get to know us. Let's just have a conversation and talk. And it's not because we're trying to, because one of the people that we're inviting over is a member of our ward that's on active. But our purpose isn't to say we're going to get you converted. We're going to get you back to church. Our purpose is that you're our neighbor and we want to get to know you. And I think that's part of when it comes to reaching out and reactivating, is that we can't have an agenda. It needs to be purely out of love and out of care.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. And I think more than anything, I mean, interest will come. You know what I mean? As you live your life, and I'm not saying don't invite people to do things, because follow the Spirit, listen to when the time is right. If you feel compelled to make invitations to do things, do it. And if you feel compelled to share your testimony, do it. But for the most part, just love everyone, see everyone as equal, see everyone as their full potential, try to look at them as God sees them. And if they're making choices that don't necessarily are the exact same as ours, or even if they're completely different, that doesn't matter. That's how they're choosing to live their life, but that's still our brother.
Yeah, in that section that I read earlier, and it talks about how, come back and then, let us stand with you and dry your tears. And I think, how often are we there when someone does come back and they do show up? We go out and missionaries go out and they say, come to church, we want you there. But then how many people actually then see that person and go, hey, I don't recognize you. My name is James. My name is Grady. It's really nice to meet you. I'm glad you're here today. Or do we, listen to the sacrament, get our kids to class, go to our classes, shake hands with people we know, and off we go. I think there's a lot that we need to make sure that we are looking around and trying to find those people that we don't recognize.
We need to come, like, the whole leaving the 99, you know what I mean? And this goes, just, I'm going to relate it back to the music. Like, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by making content and making stuff that appeals to the 99. And it's just like the top 10% of the 99 who would listen to an EFY CD on repeat. You know what I mean? Most people don't want to listen to that over and over. And the world doesn't want to listen to that. It's just too much.
Yeah.
If you want to reach someone, you have to leave the 99. It's just how you have to. Always, and whether it applies to non-members or less actives, whatever it is, if you're in your bubble and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna shake hands with the people I know and focus on the young women who always show up to church or whatever, that's not what it's about.
Yeah, and I like in the lesson they really point out the Joseph Smith translation on that scripture, because in the original English translation that was made, it says that he left the 99 in the wilderness. But in Joseph Smith translation, the change that he makes is that he says that, what man of you, having 100 sheep, if you lose one of them, doth not leave the 99 and go into the wilderness after that which is lost until he find it? Those that are here in the building, not that they're, totally secure, but they're doing okay. It's not so much that we need to worry about them as much as when we reach out and reach out to that one who is out in the wilderness. And that wilderness is dark and it's scary and it's sorrowful. There are people out there that, one, they need the gospel to find salvation, but I'm sure the other part of that is they need the gospel to find peace and happiness in this life. And if we love and we care for them, then that's going to be a motivation to try and do anything we can to alleviate that heartache.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. James, what are some things we can do to make sure that we are going out to the one and making invites to bring them back to church? What are some effective things you think we can do?
I haven't put too much thought into this, but I think that, in any ward, you have a list. We know who's showing up and who isn't. You know what I mean? as a missionary, we invited members to make lists all the time of people that thought that, and to pray about those lists. And I think that that's a true principle. I mean, we can look at who's already in the fold but is not showing up, and pray about where the Lord can use you. I mean, being active about the Lord's work and proactive, figure it out. I mean, God will tell you where he needs you to be, but you have to have the desire and the willingness to act and act upon that.
Yeah. I like the idea too that you bring up as a list. One of the, as we think about people that me and my wife want to invite, part of that list is those that we home teach and those that we visit teach. Trying to get to know them better so that it's not an assignment where I have to go talk with you every month, because otherwise I have to answer to the Elders Quorum president. But, these are people that, I'm paired up with because the Lord inspired my Elders Quorum president or my wife's society president, that they have needs that we can help them with, or they have needs or we have needs that they can help us with. And so, going through and looking at those who you home teach, maybe there's people that you've been paired up with that need special help. And if you've got a great list and they're all active and 100% and you guys are already best friends, then start reaching out beyond that and saying, okay, who else can I reach out to? And you don't need to wait for an assignment to come from the bishop or from the Elders Quorum president, but just say, this is my community and I want to help other people. And then ask the Lord, who is it that I can be a missionary to?
Where do you want me to be? Yeah, who do you want me to work with? Or put those people in my path. You know what I mean? Like create the situation. I'll be willing to open my mouth when the time comes, and be willing to do so.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that willingness to say, okay, if you set me up with an opportunity, I'll jump on it. I'll act on it. And that's something that's always hard for me, is that I've been, really fortunate over the past few weeks. I've had all kinds of missionary opportunities, and honestly, part of it is because of what you've been doing. Not only in your music, but also in that video that you had made with LDS.net about, questions for elders. I had one of my teammates reach out to me and say, hey, I saw this video about your guys,
Wow. That's awesome.
And it was great because she's like, I loved it. It was super accessible, and it was, it asked questions that I was asking. And so, the work that you're doing in those videos, I mean, it has a ripple effect that it helps to create conversations that weren't there before. And so I appreciate that you're doing that.
Yeah. I mean, what I want to do is I want to present the gospel in what's the word?
Don't say non-threatening. I hate that one.
Okay.
How about inclusive?
Yeah, in an inclusive way, and just a very hey guys, this is what we believe, believe it or you know what I mean, and we understand that this is very odd to you, this makes sense, so, and let's clear up some questions, let's be a little more transparent in a very inclusive way.
Yeah, and as you think about it, is that there's other things that make us happy that we are, we're able to freely share. And I go do something with my kids on the weekend, and we go to have fun. It's easy to share that. I went and saw, the new Star Wars movie that came out a few months back. That was easy to talk about. And, we need to think about the gospel as something that makes us happy, and talk about it casually and say, this is something that also makes me happy. And people will want to know more. And those that we go and we visit, if we talk about the gospel and how it makes us happy and brings us joy, and then we can invite others to gather with us. The last thing I like when it comes to making invites, it talks about covenants. And I think about all the times we go out and we make visits to people. I've been in an Elders Quorum presidency where we invite people back to church, and we often say, hey, we miss you. I've never heard of you, but I'm telling you that I miss you. Or come back to church because your life is broken without it. But and sometimes those seem disingenuous if we don't know the people. But one of the things that I thought about was just the idea that it talks about in the lesson here is renewing covenants, and saying, come and renew the covenant you made at baptism to follow Jesus Christ. Come take the sacrament. And what a different invite that can be in someone's life.
True. Absolutely. Yeah. I've actually never thought about it that way, but I think, the sacrament and those covenants, they're real. They made it the choice themselves to follow them. And I think if they think about that, instead of our desire to, reach numbers or something like that, then I think that's much more impactful.
Yeah. If there was a link that I shared with people that kind of let them know more about your efforts or a project that you're working on, what should I share with others?
If you would just, I I don't know. I think if I you can go to any platform that you're used to, whether it be Snapchat to Facebook or just a blog. You know, it's Jamesthemormon.com or any of those. You can just James the Mormon, one word. You can just follow me and kind of see what we're doing and invite. My whole thing is I want to make missionary work fun and easy. And videos. Every video I have, whether it's religious or secular, because the name goes back to James the Mormon, I hope we'll be able to do that. And you know, that's my overall purpose. And I invite you to use my content to do missionary work and to create in a again, using the word inclusive way, creating those opportunities for yourself, making it easier for yourself instead of handing a Book of Mormon to someone, which could be, you know, I can understand that's a big deal. You know, what if they say no? It's much easier to share a rap video. Hey, check out this rap video. You know what I mean? Like, oh, cool. What is James the Mormon? And then questions just come.
Yeah, I know, especially when you have Mormon in your moniker. I mean, that's, you know, what?
Exactly. And
that's a conversation starter right there.
That's on purpose. You know what I mean? I did that on purpose because I don't have, the things that I do don't have to be religious to create a missionary opportunity, because it's always goes back to James the Mormon, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Well, James, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. We're really grateful for you taking time out. For those of you who want to learn more about James the Mormon and what he is up to, you can check him out at jamesthemormon.com. Also, follow him on his social media channels. I know he is active on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Also, his YouTube videos are great, and we'll put one of those videos in the show notes for this episode. Once again, I'm Grady of This Mormon Life. That's this-mormon-life.com. There you can check out some of the things we have going on in our blog right now. In fact, I actually did a review for James's new album and talked about him being #1 in the iTunes hip hop charts, and so I'll put that link in the show notes as well. If you want to stick around after the exiting music, the closing hymn, if you will, I do talk to James a little bit more about his most recent music video, Treasure, his thoughts behind that, his intentions, and maybe some of the misunderstandings that came out. So if that's something that you're curious about, stick around after the closing prayer and we'll have that. But if this is where you're going to be stopping off, thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you all a fond adieu.
So hold on tight, we gon' do it together. Yeah, yeah.
You feel it now? I feel it too. Some pains make it hard just to rest it too. Sympathize with the trials cause I stumble too. Even #1 friends turned to #2. Turned the lows up to a W. Back then it was running with a tunnel view. Can't elevate, never learn to troubleshoot. Walk another way, ever need another view. All my people feeling all that pain. Y'all my mains.
Hey friends, thanks for sticking around. So this extra part here, it didn't quite fit in with the lesson, but you know, as we talked more about it, it actually works really well with the lesson. So I think sticking around is going to really help you get a lot more out of preparing for lesson 12. Something that happened recently was that Tyler Glenn, who is the lead singer of the Neon Trees, had a solo project, and one of the songs was called Trash, and it was really about the pain that he felt as a member of the church and someone who identified as gay, and feeling put out and feeling unwanted. And it was very very raw, and a lot of members of the church were offended by the imagery that's portrayed in the video. And I won't go into more detail about that, because really the focus is in this conversation about something that James the Mormon did to try and bring healing and to try and share a good message of inclusivity with his video Treasure, that kind of helps to be the, I think in my personal opinion, kind of the antithesis of Tyler Glenn's Trash and James the Mormon now offering Treasure.
Yeah, so a friend showed me or explained to me Trash. I mean, I'd seen things on the internet and heard about it, but it wasn't until I saw it that I saw the pain that he was feeling. And to be honest with you, my first initial reaction was kind of maybe being offensive or being hurt, mostly because of the things that he was using to express his pain or throwing his pain at were sacred to me. But
Yeah, anger was definitely my first reaction.
yeah,
Just
and
knee jerk was I
think
was angry.
I think that's understandable, no matter who you are. I mean, but it was followed up and quickly by just like empathy. Like, man, what did we do to this guy? You know, what did we do to make him feel this way? And my reaction to that was, we need to make more people. We need to be more inclusive. We need to make more people feel loved. And I wanted to encourage more people to look at people that way, regardless of who they are or what they're doing. And I wanted to just make a stand and say, hey, I believe that we're all equal, if you're Mormon or not, if you're lesbian or gay, or if you're black, white, whatever your race or ethnicity, religion, the way that you think, the way that you vote, it doesn't matter. That's
God
your
loves
choice.
you.
God loves you and loves you all this just as much as he loves me. He loves you. And that's all I wanted to say to that. And that was my purpose.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I'm sorry that some people have misinterpreted that, but I'll tell you, for me, that was the entire message that it presented to me, was that this is a great song saying, you know what, no matter who you are, no matter what you've been through, what you're going through, or where you're at in your life, there's people that love you.
Yeah.
And not only Heavenly Father, but there's people here on earth that care about you and love you and are concerned about you. And I think that is a great message that we should be sharing as members of the church and as human beings, that we can all, even though we've got disagreements and we've got things that maybe we don't have in common, but there's something that we can have in common, and that's that we want to help each other be better.
I appreciate you saying that and seeing that in the message. I've spent a lot of time recently with people who have chosen not to be active anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say the common thread for their decision amongst people who don't necessarily feel anti feelings towards the church, but just like, hey, I don't want to live that way anymore. You know what I mean? Is because they made decisions that weren't in line with what the church teaches, and they felt, whether that was the case or not, but they felt like they were being judged instead of being loved.
Yeah, perception definitely is reality.
Yeah, so I think, and maybe, and I think, and I've witnessed it firsthand. My own family. I'll literally never forget this experience, and I hope my sister forgives me for being on blast. But I'll never forget. Last Christmas, I went home. And of course, my family's curious about my dating life. And first thing, hey, are you dating that girl that was in this picture? It was my friend Annie. And I said, no, I'm not. We're just friends. My sister's response was, good. I didn't like the way that she looked in her pictures because she was wearing a bikini. She looked at my friend Annie. She saw a picture of her wearing a bikini and immediately made a snap judgment of who she was and her character as a human being. And regardless of my personal beliefs on bikinis or one pieces, that type of thinking is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the type of thinking that causes people to leave the church. Little did my sister know that literally 48 hours earlier, me and Annie was in the cold with me, the freezing cold, asking people to donate to an African shelter for 4 hours where we were freezing. That's the type of person Annie is. Annie's an amazing human being. But because a member of a church saw a picture of her and things, she made a snap judgment. And now this is who Annie is to her, because she doesn't think the way that she does about bathing suits. And for me, that's not how we should think. We should just look at them for what, doesn't matter what choices they're making. Who are they? They're your brother and your sister, and we need to live that way.
Yeah, and we never know where people are in their journey.
We're all in different spots. We're all in different places. She can make the choice not to wear a bikini because maybe she doesn't believe that's important, and that's her choice and that's her agency. Don't look down upon another human being because they're making a different choice than you, or they don't have the same testimony as you, or as much of a conversion as you. She might gain and anyway, I don't want to go into bathing suits, but my point is I think we're on the same page.
And comments like that will drive people away. Then and even if they are making progress, to look down on someone because they maybe make choices you disagree with, that's not going to bring them closer to Heavenly Father. It's only going to push them away. And so I think I am the captain of the modesty police sometimes, but it's never my business to go tell someone else what they should or should not be wearing. I think that when people grow closer and closer to Jesus Christ, they make changes in their lives to try and live closer to his teachings, and that just happens organically.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I think it's just important that we keep loving and helping and encouraging others with kindness.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, James, I appreciate you taking time